and then I'll have this sent to you by either tonight or probably tomorrow morning, if that works for you.
Yeah, it's fine with me.
Okay. So what got you interested in coaching?
Well, I used to be like a very competitive person, and I played Overwatch competitively in 2017 and 2018,
Mm-hmm.
and I peaked #1 Open Division,
Nice.
and then I burned out. So I quit Overwatch for like a lot of years. I came back for Overwatch 2, and at first I was like playing casually. Then my friend started getting really competitive with the game,
Yeah.
and he like pulled me into getting competitive with the game again. We made a team, and we started playing tournaments and stuff. Didn't go well. It was a bunch of IRL friends, so skill levels were all over the place. And then now I'm on an actual like 4.5k team, and it's a very serious team now. I'm enjoying my time here. I'm trying to get better at the game. And my dream, like when I was like 16, 17 back then, was to play contenders. I got pretty close. I was playing with like players like Speedily, King, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'm as good as I was then, but I'm trying to like be at that level again.
Okay, makes sense. So what kind of you said that like obviously the Overwatch 2 hooked you back in, but I assume that there were some aspects that you just legitimately like really enjoyed coming back, and obviously you took a long break, you burned out, and yet you're back. What about the game has kind of sucked you back in? Is it the same stuff from Overwatch 1, or are there aspects of Overwatch 2 that have kind of hooked you?
I've always loved like the mechanics of Overwatch, just like playing Genji and Tracer. It's just very rewarding feeling. Um, that's probably the most. That's it. I just always love the mechanics. I'm just enjoying playing the game itself, I guess.
Okay, okay. And your DPS player?
Yeah, I'm a flex DPS player.
Okay, okay.
I burned out because of goats.
Ha! You see, that doesn't count as burning out. That's a compliment to your intelligence, if anything. Yeah, that goats was a disaster. So lasted way too long. Okay, so DPS makes sense. Practicing. Let's start looking through your form here. So what do you have to get out of the session? Fix micro errors in gameplay. Expand macro knowledge on Genji and Tracer. Okay. Scrimming with a team, Genji, Tracer, Echo. How often, how long? 4 to 6 hours per day. Okay, so then how is that time spent? How often do you guys scrimmage?
We're a new team, so it was like a little rough at first. Right now, we're just getting like the toes in the water, doing like 5 days a week for 2 hours, and then eventually it's gonna be like double blocks and stuff, or like 4 hours.
Okay,
And then I practice on my own previous to that, usually about 2 hours.
okay.
Right now, I work full time, so it is a little hard to like fit in like certain things like matchmaking games.
Yeah,
And hopefully, eventually, I can like just work part time and chill for a little bit. Have
okay.
more time to practice that way.
Okay, okay, makes sense. But definitely time is a bit of a limiting factor. Makes sense. Here's what I will say. I think like you're gonna need to really focus in the meantime on being efficient with how you are training. Obviously, I think that's something that everybody should aspire to be. I think a lot of OWL and even contenders pros don't do a very good job of that. And I think especially in your scenario, I mean, you're working full time, right? So even working part time is going to put some limitations on your availability. So I think it's really, really important that you take a look at how you're training right now and make it as efficient as you possibly can.
Yeah, it makes
Work
sense.
smarter, not harder. I think is really important, and I think it's also important because you're talking about like right now you're looking for consistent, maybe even double blocks. You're working full time, and I'm looking at your sleep right now, 5 or few hours per sleep per night. Well, that's not optimal.
Yeah, yeah.
You
That was a
know,
wake up call when I read that, and I've been trying to improve that after seeing that. I was like, wow, it really is that important,
it's
isn't it?
it's really really poor, especially for somebody that's. I mean, you're looking to get. I mean, your sleep is really important for esports. You know, it's really really important for reaction speed. Your reaction speed goes down. Your ability to deal with setbacks, negative things. You have a much shorter fuse. You have a much harder time thinking creatively. So I think like there's a lot of reasons why sleep is important, and I can sit here and read them all off, but you're probably familiar with all of them. So I think for you, it's going to be about like, again, how can I have my cake and eat it too? Or at least how can I get closer there? You know, you're not going to be sleeping 9 hours a night, playing 6 hours of Overwatch and working full time. Like that's just not going to happen. But surely 6 or 7 hours is possible, right? Surely.
Yeah, that's what I'm aiming for
You
right
know,
now.
so I guess let's evaluate what you're doing right now. Non-negotiables. Your scrim block has to happen, right? It's the most valuable
Yeah.
practice of the day. If you guys get to double block, that has to happen as well. All right. Now, in the meantime, let's say you're playing one block of scrims a day. can you make do on 2 hours, 2.5 hours of ranked? Is that possible?
I mean, I would have to like get home, change, and then like do a 30-minute warm up and just go for it. I
Okay.
think that's something I'm just like not doing, is that I'm probably just like not putting the foot on the gas and just going fast enough.
Right. Because it's putting the gas a little bit harder so that then you can just call it earlier. Right. You can have more time to relax. Because what I would like you to do is, okay, so how does your training structure look like on the average day right now? Like, do you get home, do you rank first, then scrim? Do you scrim first, then rank till really, really late? Like, how does that generally look in the average day?
I get home at like around 4:30 and I scrim at 8, so I have that kind of window
Okay.
of when I can do practice and stuff. And I think the issue is that I just maybe it's like a psychological thing. I don't want to like I had some block where I am not getting just straight into it and going and hopping into ranked and stuff. I'm not exactly sure what it is. Maybe it is just like the poor sleep. I have that lack of energy, and
Okay.
that might be what's going on.
Sure. Sure. Well, let's put it this way. I think whatever the issue is, we don't remember the answer is always you don't need to fix it, you just need to improve it. So let's try this. Here's what I will say. On days that you are scrimming one block, aim for 2.5 hours of ranked.
Okay.
And what I would do is I would try I'm trying to think. What you said, you scrim at 8?
Yeah, 8 p.m.
Okay,
8 to
8
10.
p.m. So what you could probably do is you can honestly do the ranked before your scrim, which is probably what you're doing now. But like I think you could do your 2 hours of rank before, and then by the time the scrim comes in, you'll be all warmed up, have enough energy, and then as soon as the scrim's starting to wind down, you're probably going to be pretty tired, but that's okay. Like the scrim's wrapping up, and then you're done.
Yeah.
And then what I would try to do is, what time do you generally get up for work?
7 a.m.
Okay, 7 a.m.
A little later, more like 7:15,
Well,
7:30.
but right there's your. I mean, if you're done at 10 and you were done at 10 and you just like chill or do whatever else, you have 9 hours before you have to get up. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Now, are you going to go right to sleep at 10 p.m.? No, you're not. But at least you don't have to feel like you have to play ranked after scrims. You get what I'm saying? That's the key thing. Can we get that 6 to 7 hours of sleep? I think that's possible. I think that's possible. And then if you go to 2 scrim blocks a day, and I think this is important, I would play maybe 1 or 2 ranked games a day. I would just focus on warming yourself up before 6. You'll be doing 6 to 8, I assume, yeah?
We're trying that, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
So then do a couple of ranked games before, play your 4 hours of scrims, and honestly, mate, focus on making sure that those scrim blocks are as much effort as you possibly can, and then don't do anything else. 5 hours of Overwatch is a lot of Overwatch. If you can't get good at 5 hours of Overwatch, like with consistent practice, then the issue is not playtime. I'm telling you, it's not playtime.
All right.
5 hours is more than enough for you to improve at your rank. It's just gonna be about like you applying like maximum effort, setting goals, doing a little bit of VOD review. The only thing I might say is that maybe spending 10-15 minutes every 2 or 3 days to just look over a VOD, see if you've got some goals. Because we're gonna do that today, but obviously being a little bit self-sufficient with that would be really helpful. Looking at your own gameplay, finding somebody that's better at you, studying their VODs. But that's in terms of like just raw actual playtime, you really do not need more than what you're doing right now. You really don't. And I think, like I said, it's gonna be more about like improving that sleep, improving that quality of training time, so that when you are in game, you're more focused, you're more like cognizant of what you need to be practicing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
And again, it doesn't have to be hey, everything's fixed. That's not going to be like that, and don't aim to be like that. But aim to be better this month than you were this past month, and then as time goes on, you'll get a better feel for like what works better for you, because everybody has like different aspects that work better for them, and then you'll be able to, I best, better structure your training structure. Make sense?
Yeah, I just need to keep like shifting the goalpost just a little bit.
Yeah,
each time.
and then test it, play it by ear, right? Like we don't know like what's going to work better for you. Maybe you are the type of person that does fine with 6 to 7 hours of sleep. Maybe 8 hours is better for you. Maybe you do better when you play a little bit more ranked, right? Maybe you do worse when you play a little bit more ranked. I don't know. But let's start toying with this a little bit. Some objective things that you need to be sleeping more, and then everything else is subjective. You need to go test and experiment with it a little bit more, I think is the key takeaway. Make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Okay, let's keep going here. So flex DPS. I used to be a top tier 3 player. What do you feel something back from improving mechanical consistency? Well, playtime consistency and sleep are the two biggest contributing factors to mechanical consistency. That and confidence. So if you have a bad day because you slept poorly and you go, oh no, I'm having a bad day because I'm having a bad day, then you will get tilted and then you will get sad and then you will play worse. That's how these things work. So mechanics is a lot of mentality, right? Sleep, confidence. So the worst thing you could do on a bad day is go, oh crap, I have a bad day. Guess I just suck. GG's, you know, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I understand what you're talking about. I've seen it before.
Bad habits. Obviously, we've talked a little bit about that. Now you say, what do you feel is holding back from improving? You say ego. Elaborate.
I think I just like have a bad ego because I never was really challenged in a lot of like the playtime I had before I started getting back into playing the game competitively. I would just like queue with friends in like lower ranks, and I think that I gave me like an inflated sense of self and ability, and I just never like would go and get myself humbled playing against like pro players or stuff and matchmaking enough.
Okay. Ego is the thing that's going to say that you're already good right now, and that that what you're doing right now is good enough. That's ego, right? Confidence is going, you know, I don't know if I'm good right now, but I have the mentality and skill to get there, right? That's confidence. So if you're the type of person that's like not taking responsibility for your own actions, like you said, or like I'm already playing well, I don't need to be doing any better. That's what you have to watch out for. Okay, you found me from the Crow video.
Yeah, that was
Belissaria
the
video.
first time. Yeah, the one where you're like looking at the pro player and you didn't think
dude.
he was a pro.
Yeah, Belissaria, man. I'm a hater. I'm not gonna lie. He doesn't even do well in the Owl season either. Like he's like gotta be like one of the weak. He might be the weakest tank in the league, honestly. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, it is what it is. Okay. Any questions before we, I guess, jump into gameplay?
Not really.
Okay. You
Oh,
want to shoot?
actually, I have one.
Yeah, please.
I was playing a new account. I found you in Diamond. I asked for the real Spilo. You don't walled me.
Who is it? Who was it? When was it? What game was it?
It was probably months ago on a Dorado game.
Oh.
I was like a real Spilo question mark, and you just don't walled me.
Well, it's because I have chat turned off.
I see.
I don't have chat on because I used to play with chat on, because what I'll do is I will pick like, was I playing like Lifeweaver or like was I playing something weird?
No, it was for like 3 months ago. I think you're on like Zen or Brig or something.
Really? Maybe it's Brig. I don't remember. Okay, because I grind rank occasionally, like once a month for like 2 or 3 days on an off meta hero so that I can coach the hero better. Like I did Bastion, I did Lifeweaver. And anyway, long story short, this was like several months ago. I was doing that and somebody was like, is this the real Spilo? No way, this is the real Spilo. You wouldn't be feeding this hard. And I was like, all right, listen. So no, I usually just have chat turned off.
Okay, I see.
Yeah, I'm not. I promise you, I'm not dono walling you. I swear, I probably dono wall. So many people probably think I have like the biggest ego, but it's mostly because every now and then, like one of the comments is like so annoying. I'm just like, bro, I'm just trying to I'm just playing my game, man. You know, I'm masters on all roles though, so you know, hey, might be the greatest of all time.
So true.
Yeah, and on off meta heroes too, Lifeweaver, Bastion, and like I forget what was I playing on tank. It was like Sigma or something. So, you know, might be the greatest. All right, shoot me a code.
Okay. It's fun using like scrim codes, right?
That's fine, yeah.
Do we have time to look at 2, or like think it'd be just 1?
Yeah, we'll see. If you really want to look at 2 heroes, we can also just like push the speed a little bit, you know?
Okay.
Totally up to you.
This first one is a Genji VOD.
All right.
And if we have time for a second, I have a Soldier VOD as well.
Works for me. Genji, because flanker has to be played, but Iliari is too broken, so you can't play Tracer, right? And I think especially with like the return of spam, the flanker of choice is Genji most of the time. So, okay, let's take a look. So I would ask you what Genji's good at. I shouldn't have to ask that question, so I'm not going to. I just want to see how you play. If you have any questions, just holler.
All right.
Sojourn, Widow. Yeah, Thank you. So waiting for that. Now this is where things get really hard. When Genji is basically a free life hack to always get the first half of Havana cleared, right? But then, as you can probably see now, the second half is a nightmare. So you're gonna have to be creative. Let's see what you do.
I have the payload moving.
Thank you. Yep. Now this is a scrim code, yeah?
Yeah, this is from a scrim.
Okay. So you're starting to see it right now. A lot of what Genji is in higher ranks is you are obviously a duelist, but you're actually a tank is really what you are. What you're doing is as your team is pushing cart here, you're clearing out this area, right? And then you start to clear out this area. But then the key thing is finding out like what the next step is, and that's not always so obvious. You're kind of migrating to it now, but in my experience, once you've cleared out this area, it's actually going to be here.
That makes a lot of sense.
And the reason why that is it's pretty self-evident, right? Shorter sightline, cut off the enemy widow, shoot the tank in the back, and you also have the opportunity to either wrap around behind here and go for a play later on, or just sit here and spam tank. Now, you can always migrate to the opposite side. Like if you see they're really starting to leverage here, or like let's say their Widowmaker decides to rotate to here, right? There's no point for you being here. So you need to rotate across here, set up your off angle here, and look to threaten their backline. So I think you're doing it, but I guess it's just the question is, are you doing this based off of like muscle memory, or are you doing this like purposefully? Like, okay, their DPS is here, I'm gonna rotate to here. You kind of see what I'm saying?
It's 100% just me feeling it out. I'm not doing it intentionally.
Okay, so it needs to be intentional, because at this point in time, if you do not get to here, then your tank will lose the tank trade. You need to get here. You need to get here. You can get pocket very safely. They can't push you out. Just play here, shoot the Sigma in the back, allow your Sigma to turn the corner to here, force them to rotate back. And the irony here is that if you force them to do that, that will then make it even harder for them, because now you can then set up actual assassinations. But if you rotate too slowly and play patty cake, then your Sigma's never going to turn the corner, and you're going to be stuck over here. And you're going to feel really, really bad because their comp is just better at this point in time. So you'll have another opportunity. Obviously, that's helpful, you know. I like these little fishing opportunities where, you know, you have your dash, you have your deflect or whatever, you go for a pick, you know. You're not going to always hit those, but it's worth it as long as you can get out of jail free, which you can. Yeah. This has been fine. No complaints besides making sure that you're doing that consciously, and then getting here faster so that you guys didn't start to kind of get things like the only thing that's bailed you is your widow pick, right? You guys were losing the tank trade because you didn't rotate here fast enough. Make sense?
Yeah, so I should be like trying to deny their positioning from getting these like angles.
Yes. Because remember, that's your strength. Nobody wants to get close to you in their composition. Nobody outside of Sigma, maybe, right? So if you go here, who's going to push you out of here?
If Sigma tries to, he gets shot in the ass.
Right, so he can't. So he's screwed. So you just hold here. And their Sojourn, their Widow, they can't do anything. So you just shoot the tank in the free. And who's doing more damage here? You to the Sigma's butt cheeks, or the Sojourn shooting your Sigma's shield? You know what I'm saying? You're doing more damage here. You're winning the tank trade by controlling an angle that other DPS can't control. See, if a Sojourn went here, she'd get spammed out or pushed out, right? But a Genji can't. You see that? Same thing here, right? You go up here, you force their DPS out, then you start shooting their tank, right? That you're leveraging your mobility and your short range. That's something that you need to be looking at. And that goes all the way to second point, too. That's why Genji's really good in this map. Because there's lots of ways to, as much of a sniper map as it is, if you've got mobility, you can get close to folks. Now, let's think it again here. Where do you need to be? Like, once this cart starts to progress, where should you be? There's a couple of options, but what are some of those options?
Normally, I try to control the boilers where the Illari is, because a lot of snipers try to take that position.
Yes, yep. So you being here just denies them. Where else can you control?
Maybe the mini on the side or Sojis as well.
Yes, this should be very uncomfortable for them to control, right? Where else could you control? Higher risk, higher reward.
The alley by the Mega.
Yep. Especially as the cart starts to progress up to about here, you can then start to threaten people here, force them to rotate over here. They rotate over here, you rotate over here, and you cut them off, right? Now, obviously, as in these open spaces, this is when Genji gets kind of awkward, but at different points of the payload, you're going to feel very, very, very good. So let's see, are you utilizing that? Like, this is fine, but also... It's not, you can do this if you'd like, but it's not 100% necessary if you don't want to. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now, my main problem with what you're doing right now is there's a significant gap between you and your team. That doesn't work because right now, your team is not pushing at all. The payload's not even moving. So what does that mean for your life?
They can just kind of freely look at me.
Pretty much. Sigma can hold your team. Everybody else and their mother can chase you down and kill you if they want to. Now, will that happen or not? I don't know. So your Widow comes in clutch with the Infocytes, right? That helps out a lot. But you got to be really, really careful about this. Also, don't do this. It's a bad habit. It's a bad ranked habit. You just used your dash. Don't deflect here. Just disengage. If you're not actually taking an action with Genji, don't deflect for space. Because what does this deflect do?
Puts it on cooldown.
Puts it on cooldown. And now you're like, oh, Blade! Well, you're in trouble. Because now you don't have your deflect. You get me?
Yeah, this is what I'm missing now.
So if you waste your deflect and don't get good value out of it, you got to be really, really, really careful with that. The Blade was great. I like the combo. I like the timing. It was all juicy. But have a reason why for your deflect. Because remember, you even saw earlier when you were going for like those kill cycles on the Sojourn, the deflect is what allow you to do that safely. If you didn't have your deflect, you would have died going for those on first point. So don't just use deflect. Have a reason for it. I completely disagree with what you're doing here. I know you're down one, but you should be stuffing this choke. You should be hiding.
I was called to go to cart, I believe,
really?
on my team.
Okay,
yeah.
your BAP wants to get off the cart.
Goes off cart.
Yeah, I see. Well, that's depressing. Honestly, screw off. Like, I would not even be giving this guy any attention. Throw shurikens at him now, but then once he goes to cart, mate, leave cart. Leave cart. Go kill this guy.
Yeah.
Go kill this guy. Anything, right? Like you've pushed cart to a point. You forced him to drop. Now make the this is like he's the slow kid, right? So like he's now had to stop cart. Now you could just be like, all right, well screw off, kid. Enjoy. I'm gonna go kill your backline now, right?
My coach on my team tells me a similar thing, especially for like Tracer, that if I can force resources to cart, that means that like the resources are misplaced and I can then put myself somewhere else and get value. Exactly.
You force him to go to cart, so then now you can, go elsewhere. And I think the other tricky thing too is it's like it might be that your team is like calling like 6-6-6-6-6, but that's not you necessarily. See, this is way more valuable than shooting Sig there.
Yeah.
Right? Even here, Widow. Not Sig, not Widow. Because the only way they win this fight is if she gets like a 3k, right? Don't let it happen.
Yeah.
Do not let it happen. Nice. So main thing for me has been, I want you to be thinking more like, here's what it is. When you go for these duels, I want you to go brain off, total like savage mode, right? Just like let your instincts, your DPS instincts kick in. But when you're setting up your positioning, I want you to think almost more like a tank where you're slowly, sequentially clearing the enemy team and kind of staging. Okay, this is a nice short sideline flank. That's mine. You're not allowed to peek here, sniper. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
And then kind of sequentially moving up. And then as the payload moves forward and as the enemy DPS move around, like don't just go here because I said so. If there's nobody here, there's no point you being here, right? So then you would go to here or boiler, or you'd go wrap around right where you were, right? And then as the payload progresses up, okay, then I will need to move up to here, or I need to move up to here, or I need to move up to here. But it's all about like short, tight sightlines where I can leverage my mobility and moving sequentially up. Now, again, here, you're going to have a really awkward time. Why?
It's kind of hard to approach them because the map's so open.
Right. So you're gonna have to be a little bit creative, a little bit conservative until you get to here. Now this is your playground. This is where Genji can be really, really useful, right? So what are you gonna do? But see, you're kind of think like, but see, this is the problem is like, I appreciate what you're doing. It's just, it's when you're doing it that you have to be cautious with, because remember what we talked about in the second point, right? What was the problem with you being here? It wasn't necessarily bad in theory, but where was your team?
It's way out in Narnia. They couldn't support me.
Right. So the gap between you and the payload here is a big, 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 big problem. And I think that's especially important. Look at your composition, right? Look at your supports. Healing. Right. There's no range healing. So if we could like throw Harmony Orb and packs to you right now, maybe we could sustain you here just to be a nuisance, but you've got to be really careful about this. Case in point, right? Honestly, right here, what's the best thing you could be doing? What could you do?
I just try to poke from an off angle, maybe?
Poke from an off angle, right? What if you were like sitting under here and just waiting for an opportunity to like assassinate somebody and then dash back, but from under here, right? I don't know. Maybe you could just shoot up through here, right? Like I said, honestly, I feel like this is probably the best spot to be for right now, but there's not a lot of great options here. So don't take any crazy risks. Even this here is okay, you know? Just chill. You gotta go now or never. Yeah. Lol.
Yeah, it's
look like me and Genji. Well, good news is that cart is slowly moving forward. This ain't gonna work. Teams in spawn. Yeah, your timing's totally off. And it's always an expense because you see now it's like instead of hiding here still now and having the opportunity to push, obviously now because you've got supports or tanks here, now you can't go in at all because they know where you are, you've burned both cooldowns and you're half HP. Blade time? I mean, it's not the end of the world, but I just think like in general, I really would be careful about my deflect if you have a blade that you want to use. Like right now, your option is basically like, okay, what could you do if you wanted to blade this? Think about it. What could you do if you wanted to blade this?
Probably dash upwards right now.
Yeah. Dash up, verticality, right? Then pop blade here. Just wall climb even. Just give yourself some options, you know? Then choose what you want to do from there. But you cannot use your deflect. You cannot use your deflect. Like that, like you should be dead. To be honest with you, you should be dead. If that Iliar hits or shots, you're dead. And even now, like right, you still almost dead. Like you have to be like a surgeon, you know, when you play Genjis in this composition. So Genji's really good, but you got to be super smart with how you use your deflect, how you take, what angles you take, when you take those angles, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You're a dive tank. You're super valuable, but you got to play smart. Now, I think this is going to work because of the proximity to the payload, but you got to be careful. And I also would be very cautious about giving this guy too much attention. So look at him a little bit, but don't, because remember your job is to gatekeep this angle, right? Why? Because that's where the squishies are, right? So you need to be really careful. This is too ambitious, to be honest with you. You should die. Yeah, you should die.
Yeah, that was bad for me.
Right, just hold the angle, right? Remember, a tank, right? Imagine if you're playing Winston right now, okay? Imagine if you're playing Winston here, and the Winston jumps onto the Genji with dash and bubbles. You know? And you're like, yo, you idiot, there's a Widow over here, like an Iliari, like, what are you doing? Like, he's just gonna dash away, you jackass, right? But that's exactly what you're doing right now. Right?
I think I'm just being very matchmaking brain. I'm just trying to force a kill where it can't happen.
Right. It can't happen. And the other thing too is you also have to be so disciplined with this. Again, going back to your support lineup, right? You're not going to get Harmony Orb here. Your Baptiste isn't ultraviolet. He's not going to hit mid-air directs. In fact, I don't think anybody could hit mid-air directs on this, you know? So you're not going to get healed. So you need to really make sure that your committal is really serious. Like it actually makes sense, right? Now, miraculously, this Genji dies. Oh, your Iliari hits a shot. But like, this is so dumb. Like, so dumb. You got to think about contesting the squishies from short sight lines. And when you use your cooldowns, you got to get value out of it. Yeah, just chill here.
The payload's done. Get it moving.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, even here, like, look at that, right? You could take an angle, you can spam Sigma. Honestly, here, you could just shoot Sigma Shield, right? If you wanted to. You could just shoot Sigma Shield.
Yeah.
Right, it's free, right? And then it's because you can't be pushed. You force him back, and then you have to make a decision. Do I look to close in the distance from here, or do I look to contest up top left? I don't think it really matters. It's up to you. I mean, I get it. No, you see an opportunity. Everyone sees the BAP window and wants to make it happen, you know? I was coaching a Genji player yesterday. They were going like into like a Junkrat player, and sometimes just the temptation is too much. You know, you got to stand and deflect on main occasionally. You know.
What if?
You know, it's like, what if they just all shoot in the deflect, guys? Like, what if it happens? Take me back to those gold Genji days. You know. Life is simple. So thinking about this from like a space control side of things, I know you're down one here. Where should you be?
Probably, were you talking about earlier, just underneath the bridge and just try to set up from there, poke from there?
You can either set up from the bridge and wrap from BAP here. My other thing here is there's also nothing wrong with you dashing at the Iliari and just forcing her back, grabbing Mini, and kind of basically making it uncomfortable for the Widow and Iliari to peek here, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
And again, it's short sight line, it's timed well, you have your deflect, you have cover. Again, you're kind of thinking less about kills and more about contesting this space right here. It's why you're playing Genji in this map, right? If you were playing for picks, you'd play Hanzo. You play Genji because he's going to be able to contest the space and make it awkward for them to do anything. So this here is like fine, but you're not really contesting anybody from here. You're just doing extra tank damage. But the problem is that their Widow and their Iliari can also do tank damage at the same time, right? If you were to shoot tanks, you would go, I don't know, like here, contest the high ground and shoot the tank in the back at the same time, right? This you see how you're doing your strafe movement here? Because you know you're at a risk. You know you could get shot here. You see this?
Yeah.
And that means your
Always
positioning
on
is
my
bad.
head.
Right. You either play a position where they can't peek you and shoot tank, or you contest them. There is no in between. I'm kind of speaking in an extreme there, but that's the theory anyway. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay, good blade. Clean up blade is always fun. Just secure, and that should be cap. Right?
Should be. I think I int again.
No, wait. Okay, wait. I gotta see how you end. I gotta see. I think you... Gosh, that noise is so annoying. Okay. Sure? Sure? Oh, that's a good shot. I mean, it's okay. You're just late in the deflect. That's fine. I think you did okay. I think the only thing I would say is I wouldn't have committed to his side. I would have sat here exactly where you were previously and just listened.
Yeah, I have another option that way.
Yeah, exactly. But you guys cap, all good. All right. Do you have any questions so far?
I think everything's been answered so far. Makes sense.
Now, we still have 26 minutes. So we can continue with here, or we can pause and look at your other code. It's up to you.
I think I'm going to look at the other code. I want to see my soldier gameplay.
Okay. And then if we have more time, we can always ping pong back. So let's say with Genji, what are some things that you need to practice? Objective skills, specific mindset, habits. What do you think?
Not wasting my CDs for just no reason. Trying to maximize the value I get out of them.
I think specifically deflect, right? I think your dashes were mostly fine, but deflect usage and poke, like use it to win 1v1/threaten 1v1s. Don't just use for general spam. Completely ruins your ability to engage/blade. I think that's the key thing. It's especially when you have blade. You know you're going to be engaging, so you have to be really careful about your deflect usage there. If it gets forced, it gets forced. But then as soon as it gets forced, you have to turn down your aggression a little bit, right? Okay.
Yeah.
What else?
I need to be more conscious about like the pathing I take and the angles I take.
Pay attention.
And like denying space.
Pathing angles and denying space. You are the sniper shepherd. denying them contesting their angles where you can get close, abuse verticality. Because the thing with Genji is it's like you're not always going to get value directly through dashing and killing Widowmaker because she's going to rotate away from you, right? But that's the whole point, is that you're forcing her to rotate away from where she does before she wants to play. And then you take an off angle and you shoot her tank in the back. So I think that's the key thing, is it's like, okay, if I can't directly dash and kill squishies, am I thinking like Space War? Force the Widow off of this off angle so she has to play a worse sightline. That's the key thing. Okay. I think that was mostly it. I think blades were mostly fine. I think the blade, only problem I had with blades was like the deflect thing, which we already talked about. Any questions about all that?
No, I think it makes sense.
Okay, let's take a look at some soldier here. So I guess the first question, and this is where I think I'll ask a little bit of compositional feedback, is why do you think people are playing soldier? Why are you playing soldier?
I'm not the most brainy person. I can just figure out things pretty well. I know that it feels very good to play an off-angle soldier with an Alari, like +1. I feel like I can just get very strong like damage from the off angle, and I can control map that way.
Sure. So why are people playing soldier and not tracer?
Probably because of turrets. Like if you're playing tracer, for my like how I've played anecdotally, it just feels impossible to get in when there's like Alari like headshotting you, and then turret just like finishing off. Like I need like stronger poke damage from an off angle
and sustain, so which you have both.
Yeah, and sustain.
Exactly. And that's why soldier's being played, and that's why to a lesser extent Genji's being played, is because people want to they need mobility. You need something that can take some sort of space. But if you play something like a tracer, she struggles with turret, she struggles with the headshot damage. So soldier has a lot more range, a lot more sustain, easier to break turret, and so on. So yes, that's exactly why you play soldier. So leverage that. I mean, you look at their composition, right? You need to watch out from Genji, create some distance between yourself and Genji. But if you're not leveraging your mobility versus this composition, you're trolling. So let's see what you got. So far, so good. I don't think I have any like specific insight as to like what the best rollout is for this hero on this map, but your theory at least is good here. And we got the combo here. All right. Now, the only thing I don't love is, ironically, is like because the turret is placed here, you feel the need to forward place here. But this is kind of like a tunnel of death. Where they can just kind of like throw crap in here and it's going to hit you. So, yeah. Be careful.
We got feed here.
It's a, yeah, this is why you feed. He hits you with dash damage. Or this is how you feed, rather. If you're here between this and the Genji, especially without your Helix and healing, you're dead.
Yeah, he'll just outfight me at close range.
Right, so check it. Dash damage, right? That's your red flag. Too close. Too close. You're here, different story, right? If you're here, different story. Or here, different story, right? That's simple. Play your range. Now, he might die for it because he, like you, wasted his deflect before he engaged. He did die for it, okay. But yeah. Nice! Love to see it. I mean, there's not a lot to say here, right? You're just gonna win the fight, so nice job. Good work. Okay. Yeah. You see, I would not be as concerned here if I were you. I think once you've established this distance right here, you should be very confident here. You have healing station. He's totally isolated. Maybe you didn't know that, but you'll learn it very quickly once you do any damage to him. So obviously hit the first couple of shots. That's really important, but don't run from this. If anything, run this direction, deepen the angle, right? Make him chase you, open space, he's dead. And please be careful about those pre-helixes. If he sees helix like that, that's a green light for him to dash you.
Okay, yeah, because he's not concerned about getting bursted up close.
Right, you just helix the floor every time. I mean, even with splash, that's a huge chunk of damage, right? So if he sees helix missed like that, then you're done. So like honestly, at this point in time, like you demanded healing, right? You should not have demanded healing. You should have won that 1v1 a lot easier.
Okay.
So more of a micro thing. Manage your distance. Hold Helix when he's in dash range. That kind of a thing. Initial positioning, I think, was okay. So you're holding Helix here, so he can't dash you. Now you use Helix, now you disengage. Little detail. So I wanted to talk about this last fight. I'll wait till now. If the cart is like here, the other angle that you can control is also, this is pretty good here too. Like this is pretty nasty. Super, 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 super long sightline. Not as deep of an angle, but you can get support here. And I think the sightline in general is better than where you're at right now. So where you're at now is fine, but I would put it as like a deeper angle, worse sightline, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Whereas this one is a longer sightline, but a shallower angle. I think this position is probably better with where the robot is. So I think for you, it's going to be kind of like what we're talking about with Genji, where like good positioning is contextual on where your team is, and your team is where the robot is. So right now, your positioning is bad, not because it's objectively bad, but it's just not the best for the circumstance, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm just not playing around the objective right now.
Now, the only reason why I might play here on purpose is when would being here be not optimal? You might not know the answer to this, but I'm going to make you squirm. Think about it.
If they had just very long range poke, I was worried about. Like,
Exactly.
So just like
Different
popping
hero
on me.
Right, Sojourn, Ashe, something like that. Honestly, even a Soldier Mirror could be concerning, right? Where you have to worry about this angle right here. You see this? You're completely naked to that angle. All right. What about old economy?
They could engage me with a blade from over there. Maybe.
Like, what if they had Nano Blade? You get me?
Yeah.
Where maybe you are playing more to trade backlines and not be a dash reset. You know? I don't know. Maybe, I mean, Sojournal as well. I think your positioning is a lot more attractive into Sojournal, just based off of the fact that you are not an easy target to shoot at. I don't know. Something to consider. If you choose this position based off the old economy of the situation, I'm fine. But just something to consider.
I chose this option because I had a visor to flank with. Here.
Works for me.
So I go for the play.
But then the other thing too is you could think about it, oh, because they have a naked blade, a peel visor here would be busted. You see what I'm saying? Because like he's not going to be able to close the distance on you very easily, right? So
you just get burned.
Keeping max range, popping visor defensively or even proactively could be good here too. Now, I like your strategy here, but I'm just saying it's not a very easy answer here. And honestly, could pop it here. Pop it right now. Communicate with your team. Hey, I'm going to pop visor now. Get ready to push. Make things really uncomfortable for them. Really uncomfortable. And not even, you would even just like sit here, you know? Not even push with it. Just cause chaos, right? Right? It's really uncomfortable. Now, the only mistake here is what?
I kind of just get in range of them so they can respond to it pretty easily.
Right. So I think you just lost Genji, to be honest with you. Now, the funny thing is, though, is you guys might still win this fight because you really screwed him up. You really screwed him up. I'm actually curious. At the very least, you're definitely going to force at least another ultimate. Yeah. Maybe? Oh, you guys don't kill the AI, are you? I think the idea of the visor was fine. Proximity could have been managed a little bit better. Main takeaway.
All right.
Ha! He gave up. I do think Soldier's better on this map than Genji. Now, you don't need to be scared. Obviously, you're backing up because you're down one. But here's what I would do. If you like his angle, fight him for it. Beat him. Win the cooldown trade. If you like another position and you think you can get more value out of another position, if you look at this situation here and you go, I mean, this is fine, but also, I think this is better, then screw him. Take this own angle, right? Something to consider.
Yeah.
Nice. Misses the Helix. window, so that works. Ooh. Maybe. Run. No. Oh, you tried to steal the mega.
Did not work out.
Yeah. Honestly, I just think I probably disengaged there a little bit faster. I wouldn't worry about it. As soon as you see shift, just you know the entire rest of the cavalry is coming behind him. So, but yeah.
They'll regret that.
Now you got options here, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the option number 1. This is option number 2. This is option number 3. This is option number 4. Right? What are you thinking? What does your gut say?
At first, I was trying to like wrap left as far as I could and just feel it out, and then when I see the soldier, I think I probably should respond to that. Oh,
I
why
think
not?
so too. Yeah.
Okay, I do.
Now you got to be really careful, because this is what I call corner cheating, where you break the corner, so then you put yourself at a disadvantage in the duel. So you have to be confident that he's not going to peek you at this point in time, because as soon as you break right here, you're at the disadvantage in the duel, right?
Yeah, he can just swing me and I'm out in the open.
Right, you're out in the open. So you better darn well be sure that he's not doing something at this point in time. So when should the timing of a peek like this be?
When they're using cooldowns on the front line, trading stuff.
So you need to be a little bit more patient, like now-ish, before you go for something like that, so that you can be confident you're going to get away with it without getting punished. As it is, you swing a little wide. You have to respect his damage so much more, so you ends up, I mean, I don't even think he uses his healing station. Yeah, so he still has his, you don't have yours. So you got to be really careful. Now, what ends up happening, coincidentally, is you actually serve as a tank. Check this out. So there's Iliari and Soldier distraction, right? And then that allows your Soldier to hit the shot. Just be careful.
Yeah.
So it's all about, like, it's just like the micro. Like, if you're playing Tracer, it'd be the same thing, right? High risk, high reward angle, take it late. Low risk, low reward poke angle, take it early. All right, here we go.
I kind of go for the same plaguing sub visor.
Keep pushing. It's not
Yeah, sure.
I am pushing the barricade. What's up?
I've got you in my sights.
Now here's a question. You're doing the animation cancel,
I've got you in my sights.
but what do you
I
see?
just walk out of it.
You
anyways.
walk out of it, right? So I think it's just something to kind of consider. The animation cancel is obviously really nice, but it generally it means that you're going to be taking a slightly more aggressive position. So in which case, maybe you'd animation cancel here, or maybe just pop it here and just shoot, and then pop it like halfway through your visor, right?
Yeah.
This
It's
is
just
fine.
a habit I have that I built for myself. It's not something I consciously do enough.
One other detail as well. When should you visor here? Is now a good time?
Not really. I kind of just gambled they wouldn't shoot me.
No, it's the same thing as the angle all the way the previous fight. You go too early. It's a high risk, high reward play. You're going to win this fight off of this visor, or you're going to lose this fight off this visor. What do you need first?
I think I need my tank to like be walking up on them.
At the very least, BAP Sojourn, for crying out loud, to be peeking a little bit more aggressively. Now you do get your Iliari to go with you, which is helpful, but you need a little bit more pressure. So like, you look at the cart progress, right? 61,
Yeah.
62. You know that the things are going to heat up a little bit here. Let it heat up a little bit. So I wouldn't say the timing is bad here. It just could be better. What happens to his flux? Or does he keep it? Yeah, his voice line cut off, I guess, because of the Orisa thing. Okay. What do you think about your positioning right here?
I think it's fine. I don't know. Maybe there's something wrong with it. I don't see.
Yeah, I think it's okay. Force 1-2 ults, not terrible. Get some push as well. This is where I really think that this is just not my cup of tea.
Yeah, I get punished for it.
It's just too easy for them to pincer push you. You're shooting uphill. They have better cover than you. I really think that trying something along a longer angle like here is probably going to be a little bit more consistent. Or if the robot ends up turning the corner here, just playing here or something like this. I think again, we can definitely point out timing as being an issue here. Like, you are feeding here. Like, let's not kid ourselves. You're going way in front of your team. But
yeah.
I also think that this is just not the best angle for your character right now.
I also play into their ult economy. They just get a free visor target because I fight them.
I mean, you do a good job. Again, you're tanking here, so like maybe we like can capitalize off of that. But like, I don't know. I think this is just so much more consistent angle, and if you time it better too. Okay. That piece of wall never knew what hit it. It's brilliant. That's James Bonding. All right. See, this is the thing with him too. He has to be careful because he can push out here, but as soon as he pushes out here, it's the corner peek thing, right? He puts himself at a disadvantage in the duel. So he really doesn't want to. He really wants to, but he really doesn't want to. And that's it. Now you're very early here, but you're still visoring. Why?
I don't know. I felt like I could just kill them. Obviously, I couldn't because they just have all their cooldowns available. So there's no way I get a kill there.
Okay, but you saw an opportunity and you just went for it.
Yeah, pretty much.
I think that's something that you want to try and preserve at least to an extent in your instincts. If you see an opportunity to get a kill, I don't think it's a bad thing to go for it. Let's put it that way. Okay. I think there are obviously, you could be countered here, you could die here, but you have your Illari's help. You are a little early, but at least your team is doing something. And it just felt like he was going to die, Like, it just felt like he was going to die. So, like, I don't hate this. What I would do is as soon as this fails, I wouldn't ego it, right? Exactly, right? Don't ego it. You force a lot of cooldowns, you force a lot of resources, you probably will win the fight off of that on main. So don't ego this, right? It's the same thing with Genji. You want to be, like, analytical, but you don't want to be like so scientific and nerdy that you like ruin that bloodlust that you just see kill and you just go. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You need to keep that. You need to keep that intact. So I think this is fine. Nice. Late. I mean, that's late peak, right? Late peak, right? You guys immediately lose one person because they have 2 ults, whatever. But despite that, and your Orisa's failed ultimate, look at that, 2 kills. Right? Your Orisa set you guys up. So this fight is actually contestable now. Again, late peak, right? She's not thinking about you. She's thinking about your Illari. You see this? So,
yeah.
Bam, right? So there's always that balance of like, do I want to set up my team or do I want to let my team set up for me, right? Nice, huge. And then now again, right? Your tank is tanking, so now you can actually kill people. See? Thinking about Orisa, not you, but you're the one that did the damage. Okay. Any questions so far?
No. I think I'm getting it.
All right. Now you got to be careful here. I don't mind you contesting this guy, but you need to be like super careful about this. This is too wide of a peak.
Yeah, I get to shoot from statue. Right?
Yeah. You got to shoot from statue, and if you're gonna peek this close, you got to be like super disciplined. Drop heal station super early, and be screaming for pocket. You should die here, honestly. Yeah, I just think you just trolled this one. Just like I said, shoot from statue, play your range, and then shooting from statue gives you some options. You can peek, you can disengage, and shoot Sigma Shield. You've got options. This is honestly just silly. Okay. We can win this still. Helix is a legend.
I poked with my visor fast.
Uh-huh. Good.
They're out of time. Finish them off.
Yeah.
Little tracking, you know? Because, like, you know that Iliari is with him. You know that you have nobody. So what's your job here?
I actually did, in the moment, did not realize that my Oli are with me.
All right, so it's very important that you realize that, obviously.
Awareness.
Right? Because what?
Because I'm just taking like a 1v2. I'm just
Right,
gonna lose it every time.
right. You could just sit here and play Patacate with these guys, totally ruin their visor. Because, like, what is he gonna do? Is he gonna push up into you and try to visor? Even with Iliari Pocket, that's super scary, right? Or what's he gonna do? Visor from back here? That sucks, right? So you're basically just gatekeeping here, holding the angle, which is smart. Like, but you don't need to force the 1v1.
Yeah, I just gave him a fight he wanted to take.
Just hold the corner. I mean, you corner peek this, right? You are in to win. Now, the funny thing is this is such an investment for them. You guys actually still might win this fight. I'm actually curious. But it has to be soon. Otherwise, it might be too late. Yeah, this is too late. Oh, wait, maybe? That's actually a perfectly timed kill. It's still winnable. Oh, man. They have all the map control, though.
Yeah, they just wrapped on us.
That sucks. Yeah, I mean, it really is. That's just a crucial error, right? I think just knowing whether you have an advantage in the duel, knowing whether you don't. If you have the advantage, you need to push that. They did. If you don't have the advantage, you just need to hold it, right? Okay, so
yeah,
what are you seeing with your Soldier 76?
I'm taking like way too aggressive angles. I just like go like EO and just fight people instead of just like playing angles I should.
Count your man map advantage and make decisions about when and what angle to take off of that. Ego angles equals late conservative angles. You can just time your team tank. Does that last point make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, give me 1 second. What else? Is there anything else that you saw?
I'm way too eager to just go do shit. I'm not patient, so my timings are too early.
Okay, so paying attention to timing, as always, focusing on timing with team. Anything else?
Wasting CDs sometimes, like using the Helix too soon, and just being too like greedy with it.
Micro, Helix versus divers, Tracer, Genji, etc. I just think it's good to kind of keep in mind. You know, if you're gonna hit the Helix, you're gonna use the Helix. You got to be really careful with it. Okay. Any questions about anything that we talked about? Genji, Soldier, macro training, anything else?
No, I think that pretty much covered
Okay.
a lot of the mistakes I was making.
Okay. Sounds good. Well.